Welcome to the Sports Bash pre-show presented by CraftyGetaways.com, located right here on Long Island in Miller Place. For all of your travel needs, call Taylor at 631-714-7850. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. He's Vinny Tickets. We'll be joined later by WizKid Vinny. Good morning, Vinny.
Good morning, Peter.
So tell us a little bit about Crafty Getaways.
You know, we had a great meeting this week. We are doing some fantasy trips, and they were literally so efficient, an immaculate office. They provided some amazing deals. They do airfare, they do trips, they do honeymoons, they do European trips. And if you want to go see Taylor Swift, we're putting together a package to see Taylor Swift in Europe. So really just an amazing company. And if you have any of your travel needs, take a look at their website here and give them a call.
Sports Bash Media is averaging over 200,000 views across our social media channels. If you're interested in being a sponsor of Sports Bash Media, send us an email at info@sportsbashmedia.com. Coming up on the show, we're going to talk to New York Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy, Nilay Shah, to talk about the Giants' 100th season. We'll also play Stump the Wiz. The prize will be an Eli Manning autographed football, a pretty good gift courtesy of the New York Football Giants. But right now, it is time for the Sports Bash Flash. It's brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner is located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. Let's begin in the Bronx, where the Yankees continue to turn up the power.
And it is hit in the air to deep left. Back goes the left fielder. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is. Adios, amigo. Giancarlo Michael Cruz Stanton. Oh, he put it into the second deck. You just had to wait to make sure it was fair, but it was. Stanton with his 15th home run of the year and a couple of insurance runs for the Yankees. It is now 5-1.
That was Ricky Ricardo on WFAN. The Yankees beat the Twins 5-1, their sixth straight win. They have won 17 out of 21. Luis Gil winning his seventh straight start, gave up one hit over 6 scoreless innings. And down on the farm, big news, Vinny, for the Yankees last night, pitching for Double-A Somerset, Garrett Cole, 3 1/3 in his first rehab start. No runs, 2 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. How about that for a return for the defending American League Cy Young Award winner?
That's a great return. And I think they said the radar gun had him at about 96, 97 at the top, which, that's rare for him.
And he'll probably get 1 or 2 more rehab starts before.
Little ahead of schedule, they say.
I would say so. Absolutely. Yankees and Twins again tonight in the Bronx at 7:05. Now to Washington, where the Mets and Nationals were scoreless in the fourth.
1-2 again. Bader drives a high fly ball left center field. Winker going back to the track at the wall. He leaps. It's gone. Harrison Bader gets the Mets on the board. He homers off DJ Hurst. It is 2-0 New York in the top of the fourth.
That was Keith Rad on WCBS 880. The Mets win their second straight, beat the Nationals 6-3. Also, Pete Alonso homering in that game. David Peterson the win, 2 runs, 5 hits over 6 2/3. Today, Luis Severino on the hill for the Mets, 4:05 first pitch in Washington. And last night in Brooklyn, catching for the Class A Brooklyn Cyclones, Mets catcher Francisco Alvarez on a rehab assignment, catches a combined no-hitter for the Brooklyn Cyclones. So what a minor league night for the baseball locals. Garrett Cole with a great start. Francisco Alvarez catches a no-hitter. All good things yesterday for the Yankees and the Mets.
Absolutely. It's about time.
WNBA, Liberty over Chicago last night, 88-75. Breanna Stewart led the Liberty with 33 points. So coming up on the show, we are going to talk to New York Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy, Nilay Shah. This is a big year coming up here for the Giants as they try to bounce back and get back in the playoffs, but it's also their 100th season. And we're going to talk to Nilay about a lot of the things going on with Big Blue this coming season.
Yeah, it should be an exciting year for the Giants. A little bit build back year, but I'm pretty optimistic for the Giants.
But a lot of exciting things going on. The Jets and the Giants both announcing their preseason schedules yesterday. The Jets-Giants game will be the third week of the preseason. So we look forward to that. That's always the best preseason game. It's the third one now, the last one, and it's usually the dress rehearsal for both teams. So coming up, we're going to welcome in our radio audience for Sports Bash presented by ticketbash.com. Looking forward to a great show coming up in just a moment.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sports Bash presented by ticketbash.com. Sports Bash also brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Falcone Law Firm. If you need to speak to an attorney, call them at 631-607-4LAW. That's 631-607-4529. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. Visit their website at martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more information, call them at 516-509-8277. Good morning. I'm Peter Schwartz, joined by Vinny Tickets, 631-451-1039. The number to call to join the show. Good morning, Vinny.
Good morning, Peter.
We have a big show later on in the show. One of the most anticipated segments of each week here on the show. It is Stump the Wiz. And a lucky fan who gets picked, their question that was sent in on social media, could win an Eli Manning signed football courtesy of the New York Football Giants if that question stumps the Wiz.
Well,
what do you think? It's a tough question. Have you seen the question?
I did.
Yeah, it's a tough question today.
Trying to keep it coveted.
Yes.
But Wiz does have a chance to really bring his average up today.
Well, yeah, he
could go to 500.
He could, yeah, because he missed the first two, got the question right last week. So we'll see if a lucky Giants fan who sent in a question can stump the Wiz and get an Eli Manning autographed football. Well, the Giants are about to enter a very special season for them, the 100th season in franchise history. And there's a lot of pomp and circumstance around it, a lot of things going on that the fans, especially if you're a true blue Giants fan, a lot of things going on around the franchise as we get ready for the season. And on the line with us to talk about our special guest here on the show, he is the Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy, Nilay Shah. Nilay, it's Peter and Vinny. Welcome to the show.
Peter, Vinny, nice to be with you. You certainly hit it. Exciting season for us, and we're ready to celebrate with our fans, partners, and alumni to really make it a special season.
You know, it's interesting as the Giants get ready on the field to get ready for the season. Obviously, there's more to a sports franchise than just what you see on the field, on the court, or on the ice, depending on the sport. There is so many other layers to a sports franchise from a marketing perspective. And again, this is a different season because it's the 100th for the Giants. But for you and your team and the business side of it, how exciting has this offseason been in putting together a lot of the things that you think the fans are going to be really excited about?
Oh, it's been great. And really this process started almost 2 years ago. So we've been, strategizing and thinking of all these different ways to hit all of our different constituents. And really now is the time to go out and execute it. We announced our plans a few weeks ago and once training camp hits, a lot of these things will start coming to life. So we're certainly excited about it.
I have to tell you, at the risk of sounding just a little unprofessional, I have to say this, and a lot of people in the Giants organization who I know, and now including yourself and Pat Hanlon, who's been one of the greatest PR people in all of sports history. Most people in the Giants know, based on my background, that I'm a huge Jets fan, and I generally don't get envious when other teams do these promotions. I generally don't get envious, but the thing that you're doing for your season ticket holders with that box that you unveiled that's got the 4 replica Super Bowl rings and the commemorative ticket, and Vinny, who's also in the ticket business, as the CEO of ticketbash.com, I know Vinny appreciates the commemorative ticket that shows the first ever Giants home game and the home opener this year. I have to tell you, I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen a sports franchise do for their fans and their season ticket holders, is that box that you're going to be sending to your season ticket holders this year.
Yeah, you know what? We got in a room almost a year ago, and we're throwing around all these different ideas. And really the thought was, what makes us different? And really, we obviously have the 8 championships, 4 Super Bowls.
Stop rubbing it in. Stop rubbing it in, Nilay.
So that idea, it was a unanimous one. We felt it was really special. you have to get all the design parts of it right. So we were able to do that working with the NFL. And those will start shipping out in late August. We usually do a season ticket member gift every August. Obviously this one's an elevated one for our 100th season, but it's a way for the fans to really feel a part of it. I mean, let's be honest, the game is what it is because of the fans and the players. And this is a way for everyone to celebrate together.
Yeah, that's great. I still have I do have 2 season tickets. So I have the plastic giant cups in my kitchen from last year. Last year or the year before, if you remember that one. So real excited about this year's promotion. And when it comes to the Giant organization, it really is a stoic, classy organization. When you talk about the 100th anniversary, any plans in the making to put together a 100th anniversary all-time all-star Giants team?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So we are going to be announcing in early July and all the way throughout the season the top 100 Giants of all time. And really that listing and ranking, we had an independent committee of NFL historians, national and local media ranked basically 100 to 1. So we'll be announcing those 10 at a time starting in July. And the cool thing is for our home opener and Fan Fest, which will be the opening weekend, we will have many of those top 100 Giants present to really celebrate and honor them out on the field. To really, again, part of this, and whether they're alive or deceased, having their family members, the thing about us, and you guys hit upon it, there are 8 championships and there are 100 seasons of great players, right? So as we were planning this, how do you kind of avoid just focusing on the 4 recent Super Bowls? How do you focus on the 4 championships were 1927, 1934, 1938, 1956? So this top 100 players, which, ranges for all 100 seasons, was a good way for us to make sure we paid respect to every era of Giants football.
So in that top 100, will they be ranked? Like, in other words, is it going to be like a countdown? So number 1 is going to be at the end?
Yep, it's going to go 100 to 1, 10 at a time. So I think the first week of July, I believe July 2nd is when we're going to start this. It'll be, 100 to 91. Then the following week will be 90 to 81 and so on, with the top 10 being revealed the week of our home opener.
Wow, who do we think is going to be number 1?
I was just going to say, we need to check FanDuel, see if there's a prop bet.
Nilay, I don't want to be a spoiler, but listen, again, I consider myself not just a Jets fan, no offense, but I consider myself a huge football fan. And obviously, I've watched a lot of the Giants over the years in my life. And to me, if Lawrence Taylor is not number 1 on that list, then I think there's a problem. But it certainly would be a great list of so many unbelievable players that have played for Big Blue.
Yeah, and I'll share one other thing. We started to notify a lot of these players, or the families of the deceased players, that they're part of this top 100. And I can't tell you how many players have been left speechless. I mean, one example, Joe Morris, had to pull over and started crying a little bit.
Wow.
What it means to these players. And again, the Giants have always been a family organization. Obviously, the Mara family since 1925 and the Tisch family. And you can just tell what it means to these players for when they wore the Giants blue. And, Wellington Mara had the line, once a Giant, always a Giant. And I think that obviously still rings true to today.
We have a couple minutes left with Nilay Shah, the Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy. He's joining us here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. The preseason schedule was released yesterday, so football right around the corner, and that also means plans for training camp. And one of the cool things for football fans, especially here in the area with the Giants and with the Jets, is the chance to go see the Giants in training camp at your facility right next to MetLife Stadium. I know it's always something that Giant fans have circled on their calendar. Any special plans for Giant fans who have that opportunity to get those tickets, to get to see the Giants in training camp at your facility?
We're still working through our planning there. Obviously, there will be some open practices for the fans to come out, and we always love for them to be here. I think you'll start to see some more information to that a little bit later in July as we kind of finalize some of these open dates and et cetera. And you did mention, the opponents. We do know that the Lions will be here for that first game, and, we will be on the road for the Jets. But I think a little bit closer to July, you'll see a little bit more information there.
And again, just rotating back to the 100th season, we talked about the rankings and the gift box that the season ticket holders are going to get. Is there anything else that you can share at this point for the fans about the 100th season, things they should be looking at as they make their plans to get ready for Big Blue's 2024 campaign?
Yeah, I would say obviously we announced that theme day with the Yankees, which is a really interesting integration on August 4th. We obviously spent 30 seasons playing at Yankee Stadium, and we have the 1956 championship game, and then obviously the 1958 game, which they call the greatest game ever played. August 4th, we will be out there. Eli will be throwing out the first pitch. The first 18,000 fans will receive a co-branded Giants Yankees Eli bobblehead. And then obviously throughout the game, we'll be playing highlights from a lot of their time spent at Yankee Stadium. The other thing that is going to be interesting is obviously during the season, we will be celebrating a lot of the championship teams. So while we're still finalizing the dates, we will have bobbleheads and other giveaways celebrating the 07 and 11 team, the 86 and 90 team. And then really interesting one is to honor the pre-Super Bowl era. We will be giving away a Frank Gifford bobblehead. Still TBD on what game that will be.
Okay.
That'll be a interesting way for us to celebrate, the whole 100 seasons of Giants football.
Nilay, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Good luck with everything around the Giants' 100th anniversary season.
Thank you, Nilay.
Appreciate it, guys.
Nilay Shah, the Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy, and the Giants getting ready for their 100th season. Coming up on Sports Bash, it's Stump the Wiz. We're coming back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Beth. Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where obviously they're a huge sponsor of the show. We thank Gus and his staff for their support in the show, and obviously it's a great place for you and your family to go and get a great meal. And don't forget, if you mention Sports Bash, when you go to the Embassy Diner, you will get a free dessert with your meal. And if there's one thing at that place that's better than the actual meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, it's the desserts, because they have desserts that you would die for. It's an unbelievable place.
And you're not just talking about a sprinkle cookie.
No, it's not just a sprinkle. There is a show. It's funny because when my family and I go there to have dinner or lunch or whatever it is, and we go in, we wait to get seated. Your eyes gravitate to that showcase where the desserts are right there in the front, and you just start to think, like, you're getting ready to have your meal. Like, what am I going to have for that dessert? And if that's you and you're going to the Embassy Diner, you start thinking about that dessert. And the first thing you should do when that waiter or waitress comes over, say, I heard about this place on Sports Bash. And what do they get?
A free dessert.
A free dessert. So as we get ready to welcome back our radio audience, we're getting ready to play Stump the Wiz here on Sports Bash. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by ticketbash.com. 631-451-1039 is the number to call to join the show. Again, we want to thank New York Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy, Nilay Shah, absolutely, to come on to talk about the Giants' 100th anniversary season. So that's going to be great for fans of Big Blue coming up. Welcome back to the show. I'm Peter Schwartz. He's Vinny Tickets. And before we get to Stump the WizKid, as WizKid Vinny Laspinuso joins us here for this segment. Before we get to Stump the Wiz, it's time for this day in sports history.
Indeed.
Did you almost forget about it?
No, I did not.
You just had the paper turned around the wrong way.
No, I didn't. I just want to make sure. Now, even though with all this talk about New York, why don't I switch things up a little bit and talk about someone very iconic in Philadelphia lore?
You had to.
Yes,
okay.
I did. I wanted to. It only made sense in my eyes.
Okay, I'm not going to interrupt anymore because we have to get to Stump the Wiz. So go right ahead.
Well, I want to talk about this day in 1948. Philadelphia Phillies center fielder Richie Ashburn tied the National League rookie hitting streak record with 23 in the second game of a doubleheader against the Chicago Cubs. And when you talk about Richie Ashburn, you're talking about one of the most iconic people, not just in Phillies history, but Philadelphia history as a whole. He was one of the best players defensively of all time. He finished third all time in terms of total putouts. The only two with more were Willie Mays and Tris Speaker. And not only that, he was an exceptional broadcaster for over 3 decades with the Phillies. And thanks to the fans, as well as good stats to back it up, as well as a wonderful broadcasting career, he made the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1995 via the Veterans Committee. And he was part of the first ever class in 2004 of the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. 6-time All-Star, 2-time batting title, one of the most iconic and accomplished people in Philadelphia sports history.
Awesome. Thank you, Wiz.
Great job, Vin.
Great job on this day in sports history. Now, it is time for the most anticipated segment of the week. It is time to play Stump the Wiz. And the prize this week, if our contestant can stump Wiz Kid Vinny, is a great item given to us by the New York Giants. It is an Eli Manning autographed football. So that's a great gift.
Yeah.
Now, if you get the question correct and the contestant does not win, would you not feel bad for the person that they would not get to win this Eli Manning autographed football?
Depends on how fast they get the question right.
Well, let's see. You're cocky this week,
Yes.
huh?
He's going up 500. I'm
last-
predicting 500.
Last week got to your head. Oh, my goodness.
No, I'm still staying humble. And if the question's good, maybe.
Okay.
Just
So-
maybe. The question has to be a good one.
Okay, but I think it is a good one. So let's get 2 minutes on the clock. Sebastiano is right on top of things. And here is the question. Pete Petriccioni wants to know, who were the 3 key participants in the Miracle at the Meadowlands on November 19th, 1978 at Giants Stadium when the Giants lost to the Eagles 19-17. 3 key, you have to get all 3. 3 key participants in the Miracle of the Meadowlands, November 19th, 1978 at Giants Stadium. Giants lost to the Eagles 19-17. Sebastiano, 2 minutes on the clock, and away we go.
Herm Edwards, definitely Herm Edwards. I know that because he's the one.
This was an iconic moment in Giants history because this was really a moment and a game that changed the course of Giants history, because you then had fans who would be burning their tickets in dismay. You would then have all of this outcry for new leadership. The NFL would get involved. George Young would become the Giants general manager. They would draft Lawrence Taylor.
90 seconds.
And that led to a couple of Super Bowls immediately, not too far after that, in 1986 and 1990. So this was a big, even though
he gave us one answer. Does he have one?
He has one.
Okay.
He has one. I'm trying to keep tight-lipped on it. But it's an iconic moment in Giants history, even though it was a bad moment that day for the people who were at Giants Stadium.
Larry Zonka, I think.
It was Larry Zonka. So yes, that's correct.
2 out of 3.
That's 2 out.
Former
That's 2 out of 3. Yes.
Okay.
People forget that Larry Zonka played for the Giants at the tail end of his career.
He also played in the World Football League.
That is correct.
Stay
so you've got
focused,
50 seconds to
Stay
go.
Focused.
So Pete Petriccioni is a huge Giants fan, and he is 40 seconds away from an Eli Manning autographed football if Wiz cannot get the final key participant in the Miracle of the Meadowlands. He has already identified Herman Edwards. He has already identified Larry Zonka.
25 seconds.
25 seconds left to identify the third, not saying what position it was, but now 20 seconds.
Quarterback, right? Joe.
Blue 48.
Joe.
No, don't.
Red 16.
Joe Fielder? No, not
8
Fielder.
seconds to go.
I know it's something with Joe F.
We've got 5.
I think it was a Joe F.
We've got 4.
Joe.
2.
No,
1.
Joe.
Pete Petriccioni, you have stumped the Wiz here on Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com, and you have won an Eli Manning autographed football courtesy of the New York Football Giants. Let's go back to the sounds of November 19th, 1978 at Giant Stadium, and let's listen in to the Miracle at the Meadowlands.
Play and the clock winding down below that. As the clock winds out on the Philadelphia Eagles, a game they thought would project them into a possible wild card position. It would bring them 7-5 had they won, but a late interception by the Giants will preserve a Giant victory. An upset win as the Giants lead 17-12 and we're inside 30 seconds. The Eagles have no timeouts. Wait a minute. Here's a free foot. I don't believe it. The Eagles pick it up and Herman Edwards runs it in for a touchdown. An incredible development. Just like the opening game of the season when the New England Patriots were running the game out against the Washington Redskins. A fumble. This is the most astounding development. This is even more unbelievable.
That was Don Criqui on CBS on November 19th, 1978. The play started with Joe Pisarcik, the Giants quarterback.
No,
that was the player, Vinny, that you missed.
I had something to do with Joe. I just didn't know if it was P or F. I was thinking F because, I don't know, I guess for some reason JF. I thought of J Fielder for whatever reason.
Joe Pisarcik trying to hand the ball off to Larry Zonka, and then Herman Edwards runs it back. Just an absolute atrocious decision by the Giants coaching staff. It led to firings. Like I said, it led to George Young eventually taking over as Giants general manager.
I'm getting a message from upstairs, and the message is there might be a challenge on this one. So, no challenge. No challenge. Joe F.
I didn't know how serious. No, that doesn't count. Joe F. was completely
We're getting
wrong.
A call from upstairs?
No, it's not. Doesn't count.
Nope. Cannot be challenged.
Wiz, you have to admit, Joe F. does not count as Joe Pisarcik.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, especially as it's not even the same letter. I was thinking F for whatever reason because I was thinking of J Fielder. I don't know why.
So many years later, Herman Edwards becomes the head coach of the Jets. Yes. And when the Jets were practicing at Hofstra, and I was covering the Jets back then for ESPN Radio, I found a picture online of Herm Edwards with his hands up in the air celebrating that touchdown. And there was a bulletin board in the Jets press room at Hofstra University. And one morning I got there early before everybody else, and I put the picture of Herman Edwards, knowing that at some point that morning he was going to walk in to do his daily press conference. And he walks in, he stops, and he looks at it. He goes, I know that guy. But yes, that was again, as bad as it was that day for the Giants. And by the way, the same day I was at Shea Stadium with my dad, and Pat Leahy missed a chip shot field goal. The Jets would have beaten the New England Patriots that day. So it was a double terrible day, for local football fans. But congratulations to Pete Petriccioni, who gets the Eli Manning signed autographed football.
Good question, too.
It was a great question, and we thank the New York Football Giants for the football. And Pete, that football will be on the way from the New York Giants. So that was a great episode of Sports Bash presented by ticketbash.com. Once again, thanks to our guest, Nilay Shah, the Giants Senior Vice President of Marketing and Brand Strategy, as the Giants get set for their 100th anniversary season. For our entire staff, Wizkid Vinny Tickets, everybody associated with the show, thanks for watching. We're sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, Falcone Law Firm, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz saying thank you for watching and listening. We're back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock for another edition of Sports Bash presented by ticketbash.com. We'll recap the Yankee Twins game tonight, the Mets Nationals game this afternoon. The Mets getting ready to go overseas to go play in London against the Phillies. Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow as well. Sports Bash presented by ticketbash.com.